Well, it's Ten of Swords, Chapter 6. This is Hellions. This is admittedly a bit of an odd title. None of the Hellions will be champions in the contest with Araco. So, what do the Hellions do? How do they tie into this? How do you make this comic fit this event? I believe that Hellions was not initially intended to fit into Ten of Swords, but here it is now as it's expanded. Let's see what they do. Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is Ten of Swords, Chapter 6, Issue 5. This is from Zeb Wells, Carmen, Carnero. And it's a, so Hellions is a bit of an uneven title. If you've been following along up to this point, there's a little thing with the Goblin Queen. It was, it was kind of trying to be comedy. It was trying to kind of be horror. It was a little bit uneven of what was going on. If you followed from Fallen Angels initially, the Quanon Psylocke got some good character development there. In Ten of Swords, it's a bit odd, although she still is working for Sinister. So how do Hellions fit into this whole comic? Well, we start off with Empath basically being resurrected by the Five. He comes out of the goo egg. And there's little lines in the goo egg. Anyway, he comes spluttering out, and he's covered in goo, and he's pissed. And Professor Xavier gives him his memories back, but he doesn't like Empath. And basically that's the bit in this comic is that nobody likes Empath. So anyway, Empath proceeds to, Professor X is like, I don't need to deal with this. Hope you can deal with this. And so he leaves Hope to kind of, to tell him he should kind of sneak out the back because nobody really likes him. And then, Empath's like spit some of the orange goo out, which I guess comes from gold balls. So he's spitting out gold balls out of his mouth. And Hope's like chastising him, hey, this is a sterile environment, which is, they're in an underground cave with tree roots and gold balls and shattered pieces everywhere. And I don't know. But anyway, there's Empath. So Empath is back with the team. We're reminded that this team features Havoc, Orphan Maker, Nanny, Wildchild, Psylocke, Empath, Grey Crow, and Mr. Sinister. Grey Crow was previously named Scalp Hunter, but that is an offensive name. So Grey Crow is what we're going with now. So at any rate, the book reminds us that none of the Hellions were picked. And we traverse over to the Quiet Council. Now, the Quiet Council is having a bit of a tough time right now. They didn't want to get involved in this conflict, but Apocalypse kind of drug them into it. Then Krakoa said, hey, this is what you need to do. And so now a bunch of members of the Quiet Council are off collecting swords. And so many of them are not even there. They've got a mixed Quiet Council. Storm is gone. Cyclops is gone. There's a few other people who are missing. And basically they're like, hey, what are we supposed to do here? They're kind of debating this battle that's going to go on. Nightcrawler throws out the Contest of Swords names, which maybe that was originally what this is going to be called. But anyway, they're kind of saying it's compelling that a lot of the people on Krakoa are excited about this little tournament thing, and it's kind of fun, and Nightcrawler's not really into it. But maybe they should do something. Hey, back and forth. What's weird is Kate Pryde is kind of against it. That why are so many mutants entering the life or death stabbing tournament? But in the chapter that immediately preceded this one, Marauders, she's kind of cheering on Storm going to get the sword. So not sure why the change of heart, but hey, it's okay. Why not? We're not thinking too much about it. But Sinister comes up and he gives a big speech. He's got a big idea, and his idea is let's send the Hellions in to lie, cheat, and steal Araku's swords, and then Araku won't have them, and then they'll have to forfeit. And, it sucks to be them, right? So let's send them in to be sneaky. A sinister plan. So at any rate, the Quiet Council is not really into this. He thinks this is a bad plan. Professor X is like, I won't support a plan that sends more mutants into Otherworld, and they wouldn't be able to be resurrected properly. And Sinister keeps talking, and basically he gets volunteered that he will lead the mission. And so the people are like, no, we don't want to do that. 4 hands out of 5. White Queen Mystique, she's into it, but no, they're not really into it. But Sinister starts, then immediately goes into making fun of Magneto's daughter. Magneto decides to change his vote and says, "You're going. Basically, you're going on in with your team." So now they're on a bit of a suicide mission, where if they get killed over in Otherworld, then they may not be resurrected properly. Sinister has to lead them, so Sinister realizes that maybe he's overplayed his hand. And we traverse over to the Hellions, who are hanging out, kind of getting their stuff together, and kind of debating what's going to happen. They're basically, not only does this mean we might not be able to be resurrected properly, but hey, Empath snuck under the wire. He's coming with us, so that's great news. Orphan Maker is confused as to how he's come back to life. No one's really explained this to him. So anyway, debate. Meanwhile, Sinister figures out, hey, I've got a plan. I'll just get another clone of myself to go in for me. So he has basically a black market kind of illegal clone farm in the basement. You see briefly kind of through the little, the little ruby crystals, a bunch of Sinisters kind of all floating around. So that's some fun there. And it is basically he and his new clone kind of debate who's going to be the person to go on this crazy suicide mission. The fact that there are multiple copies running around, probably a bad idea. Xavier would be upset by that. But apparently Xavier is not scanning Sinister for treachery. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but they decide on a good old-fashioned game of rock, paper, scissors to discover who's going to go on in. And Sinister wins and Sinister loses. So, okay. So they head on over to the Avalon Gate. And the Avalon Gate's off in the forest. And Impus joins up with the team. Nobody cares. And they basically remind, in a very strange face from a face of exhaustion, let's put it, from Psylocke, reminds him not to use his powers. And so they've got their traveling clothes on. They head on through the gate and over to King Jamie of Braddock of Avalon. Jamie, of course, the Mad King. And he's having a debate with a horse. And he becomes immediately infatuated with Mr. Sinister's cape, which really was the running gag. We already had a few jokes on this earlier in the comic, and we get some more, like a lot more. The cape is getting a lot of airtime. So that's super. Anyway, so they debate with Jamie, basically, hey, let's have some fun. Jamie agrees to let them pass into Otherworld, even though he's not supposed to, but they have to exchange gifts, and they give this horse to Mr. Sinister in exchange for Mr. Sinister's crazy cape. And so we get some more excitement. Mr. Sinister's upset because he's lost his cape. And then we get a couple pages of them going through an old medieval market. And Sinister is complaining more about his cape and wants some more clothes. When they get stopped by some kind of sentry guard, it's not real clear, from Saturnine, they basically, they say, you stop right here, you can't go through. They call Mr. Sinister a japer, and he's upset about that. And then they kind of go back and forth. And finally, Sinister agrees to give Empath free reign to basically mind control everybody involved so that they let them pass. But in doing so, he mind controls Greycrow. And Greycrow immediately kind of is infatuated with Empath. And there's some comedy and people are laughing. And they head off on horses to go into the kingdom and search for these swords and get to them before the Araco army gets them. So, and that's where the comic ends. Basically, they're riding their horses. Psylocke says this one's going to end badly. Kind of started badly too. Anyway, so that's our comic. All right. So thoughts on this? So this is clearly an auxiliary chapter. It's not going to really tie into anything. Yes, in theory, it seems like the Hellions are probably going to get trapped. One or more of them is going to get killed and then scrambled. But these characters have been highlighted as disposable since the start of the series. So I'm not really sure the stakes are terribly high there. You kind of have Havoc, Psylocke, and they're clearly building up Grey Crow a little bit, and then everybody else nobody cares about terribly. So who knows where these all go? But this is a side quest comic. This is the equivalent of from The Last Jedi when they went off to the casino planet. This is the casino planet mission of Ten of Swords. It's got some humor in there. If you like this kind of humor, if you like a lot of jokes about Sinister's cape, and I mean a lot of jokes about Sinister's cape, then this is a comic for you. Otherwise, it's hard to tell exactly, kind of what's going on here. It's hard not to look at this as completely unimportant to the series. Now, I'm sure some people in the X office will highlight that, no, this comic is important. Every comic is important. Every moment is a beautiful, butterfly. But this, really, we're still in the gathering the swords bit. So we have another 5 comics before we get to Ten of Swords Stasis, which is seemingly when all the swords are going to be assembled. This was one of 3, kind of 3.5, 4, if you count the Ten of Swords handbook comics. It came out today. So a lot of Ten of Swords out today. New Mutants and Cable, in theory, faring well or better than this, because they're actually are getting swords that matter to the plot. But that's what we've got. So that's Hellions number 5, Ten of Swords number 6. You're supposed to collect them all, but this one would be. I'm thinking you could miss it if you needed to. That's just me. What about you? Did you love this comic? Hate this comic? Do you like kind of the banter? Do you like jokes about capes? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. All the X fans who I'm insulting their puppy right now, go on in there and dislike. Whatever you need to do. That's this one. That's it. Thanks for listening.